Hello everybody, it's JBR3 Collector back with another tier ranking video, and it's been a few weeks, guys. I'm sorry. I honestly just didn't feel motivated to make videos for a little while, and now I do, so I'm gonna get back into it. And this week we're gonna be ranking another Marvel Legends body mold. This should be a really quick video. This time it's the Hyperion body mold, arguably the most hated body mold in Marvel Legends history. Um, uh, So let's start off. I have them in order from the first time it was used. The order might be slightly off, but it's whatever. Anyways, so we're starting off with Hyperion himself, the body's namesake. And it's funny, you look at this promo image when they announce this body, and it looks like the chest looks way different in this promo image than it actually does in person. Um, so Hyperion as a character is 6'4" and like 600 pounds, or maybe it's like 1,000 pounds. Can't remember. But anyways, he's a big guy. Height wise, this body mold is pretty good for him, and his cape does kind of cover up the bad chest issue, but it's not. It's definitely nowhere near like the best usage of it. So I'm gonna put him in C. Very rare for the namesake of the body mold to be ranked so low. Hyperion with that like girdle on his chest, he could have had extra sculpting to make that work out for him. And then I don't know, he had no accessories either. Hyperion could have used like extra hands, extra fist hands, laser blast eyes, anything. An alternate head where he can do different versions of Hyperion. One has the mask, one that doesn't have the mask. This figure is just a big missed opportunity, I think. Now, we start off pretty bad with Hyperion. We get worse with Luke Cage here. Luke Cage gets D ranking. I didn't feel like doing all the way to F on this because there's only 32 of these, and they're all, for the most part, the regular Hyperion body figures are not that great. Luke Cage is one of the worst examples of it. And Luke Cage is a guy wearing a t-shirt, a very loose t-shirt, and usually wears jeans. This version of Luke Cage is from the Thunderbolts, so I think he wore tighter pants. Luke Cage not having a cape or anything like that makes his big ugly chest stand out really bad, and his head sculpt's not very good either. Just in general, this Defender's Thunderbolts Luke Cage is just not very great. I wouldn't call it horrible, but it's not very good. We definitely deserve a better Luke Cage figure now. Next up, we have Sabretooth. This is Sabretooth from the Puck Wave. At the time, it was a modern Sabretooth. I want to say it's Marvel Now Sabretooth. And this version of Sabretooth is not as big as later versions of Sabretooth would have, or earlier versions of Sabretooth would have gotten. So personally, I think I have put him in B because there's nothing inherently wrong with that figure. He could have used more accessories just like the other two. But just in general, Sabretooth is a weird shaped guy. He's a really big, weird, buff man so the weird chest doesn't really bother you that much, especially because it's Sabretooth. You usually have him crouched over, and the big chest sticking out doesn't look as bad when you have a character that crouches. So, yep. Then we have Toxin, who really should have been a decent figure, but is really not. So I'm gonna put him in D. He just looks awful, man. He's always looked awful, and his figure really does not do him any justice. Not much more to be said about old bunny rabbit face Toxin. Then we have first appearance Beast. This figure, they gave him new forearms and new feet, and his forearms, you can't bend his wrists or anything. He's just stuck in that pose you see in the picture. You probably barely see it in the picture, but for like first appearance Beast, actually it might be a little bit too big, because he's a teenager. That whole X-Men five pack, I think, like Angel and Cyclops being on the Bucky Cat body, they should have been a little bit smaller, being teenagers. Beast should have been like on the Grim Reaper body because he's a teenager. This is a big teenager, anyways. And then Iceman was just awful all around. So I'm gonna put Beast in D as well. Plus his paint job is garbage. Like that whole box says paint jobs are garbage. Gladiator. Personally, I think Gladiator was too small on the Hyperion body. I think Gladiator is usually about 7 foot tall, but I think he's been drawn all kinds of different heights. But the cape really hides his ugly, helps hide his ugly chest. For him, it's really just a preference of whether you like the shinier paint or the more matte paint for Gladiator. But I'll put him in B because that cape does help him. For me personally, I like the matte colored one. I think the matte colored one also had a less bobbly head. The SCCC one had a really wobbly head, if I can remember correctly. But yeah, that figure, I like the matte one better personally, but both of them, I wish both of them were a little bit taller. I like Gladiator being a pretty big imposing guy. I don't want him to be the same size as the other Superman ripoffs, you know? Then we have Strife, who's the first figure to get like a lot of new parts on this body mold. Like he has all new legs, the feet are reused though, all new arms, and then the chest plate on top that goes over the torso, plus his head and his hands. Really, Strife should have been taller as well, but because he has all these extra pieces, it really makes him look like a lot better of a figure. His cape kind of sucks, so maybe he's not S, but compared to other figure, this is just comparing it to other Hyperion body figures. As Marvel Legends as a whole, he would not be an S, but for a Hyperion body, he would be the first S tier, I think, because he has all these extra pieces that hide the bad parts of Hyperion. So then we have Radioactive Man, who I think is actually like fine. Like his color scheme makes the ugly chest and stuff disappear, and because he's a big mutated like radioactive monster, him being weird shaped is kind of fitting for him. I'm gonna put him in A because I think he looks awesome. I think he's a very underrated Marvel Legend, to be honest with you. Then we have Sentry, who I have hated since the day he came out. Sentry is a very powerful character, and he, just like Hyperion and like Gladiator, people consider Hyperion and Gladiator definitely are Superman ripoffs. They're meant to be, they have the same exact powers as Superman. Sentry does not. He's just very strong and fast. He has similar powers, but he doesn't have like the laser eyes and shit like that. But Sentry is not as big as Hyperion or Gladiator. Superman is not as big as Hyperion or Gladiator. I think Superman's like 6 foot. I think he's 6'4", which would make him the same height as Hyperion actually. So I lied. But Sentry is only like 6 foot and like 200 pounds. He's not a big, huge, bulking guy. He never should have been on the Hyperion body to begin with. He should have been on. By the time this figure came out, the Grim Reaper body was going to come out soon. They should have waited and put him on the Grim Reaper body. So he definitely goes in D. I think we desperately need a new Sentry figure. A lot of Marvel fans hate Sentries, so it might not happen, but I personally would love to have a new Sentry on a smaller body mold that's more fitting for the character. I have Anti-Venom, who he's just better than Toxin. He uses a lot of the same parts that Toxin uses, just a different head and an extra spiky back piece, but he's still not great. If you want a good Toxin figure, honestly, the Marvel Select Marvel Select Anti-Venom figure, a good Anti-Venom figure, works pretty well scale wise with Marvel Legends, so I recommend that figure over this one any day. But maybe put Anti-Venom. We'll put Anti-Venom in C. Tiger Shark, just like I said with Sabretooth earlier, characters that are crouched over, really the big chest, the weird sticking out chest thing doesn't look as bad for them. And Tiger Shark, I always have crouched over on the shelf. And then, his head sculpt I think is awesome. I think it's a great head sculpt. It's a character I really enjoy. Mine had a great paint job. I heard some people had really bad paint jobs on their Tiger Sharks. I'm going to put him in A, honestly. I think he is a really underrated figure. That purple on him just really shines, and it's really good. I like it. Then we have Drax, the Destroyer from the Entertainment Earth Guardians of the Galaxy 5-pack. So much better than the first Drax figure we got, which isn't saying much because that figure was awful. It used the old that figure used the old face-off Punisher body. This uses Hyperion, of course. Definitely better than most uses of this body. Now I think we should get a new Drax updated using like the Hercules body or something. I think that'd be a good body mold for Drax. But really, I want a classic Drax at this point. I want a big old bulky Hulk size classic Drax from like Infinity Gauntlet. But anyways, back to this figure. I'll put him in B. I think he's okay. Not like mind blowing, but not too bad. I think he uses the same legs from the movie Drax, which helps him just look a little bit different on the shelf compared to the other Hyperion body figures. Then we have 90s Venom. I'm calling it 90s Venom because he has the first appearance Venom face and then the tongue with the green slime. This figure is really, again, Venom's crouched over a lot, so he doesn't look too awful. But personally, I would really love a Venom on the Omega Red body mold. They just announced that new comic book Venom in the Null 2-pack that's using the movie body, and I'm really disappointed by that. I probably would have actually bought the set if it was an Omega Red body Venom. That just like the retro carded animated series Venom, but just comic book style instead would be so great. But I'll put him in B just because I would like him on a better body mold. But really, the Hyperion body doesn't really bother me too much for Venom. It really doesn't. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I don't think it bothers me too much. Nuke, I'm putting in D. Maybe I'll put him in C. I don't know, I'll put him in D. So Nuke is a lot to go with Nuke. So I think he could have easily been an A. But the upper legs they used for him, so he has like sculpted pants detail from the thigh cut down, but above the thigh cut and his crotch area, it's smooth like the regular Hyperion body, and for some reason that makes him like super tall. Nuke is not super tall. Like you put Nuke next to other figures that use this body mold, and he is like a good like quarter inch taller than some of these other figures. Nuke is supposed to be 6'4", maybe 6'5", but his figure looks like he's like 6'8". He is huge, and it really throws me off. And that smooth crotch and upper thigh piece just looks really bad. The vest helps hide the ugly chest, so like he could have been really great. I think he really could have been a near top tier Hyperion body figure, but that sculpt in the lower half there is just not good. I think the pants sculpt they made for him is good. This is the first time that pants sculpt appeared. I think it looks good. I just don't think that they did the top part correctly. You'll see later on with Cable that they improved it. And then Nuke also has a shitty gun. That gun is awful. So you have Cottonmouth, who just looks like he's super blown up. Honestly, he looks like he'd be, with the big poofy chest, he would have been good for Puff Adder to be used for this body mold instead of Cottonmouth. Because I don't think Cottonmouth's ever really been drawn super huge. So I'm gonna put Cottonmouth in D as well. And he should have totally had a head sculpt with his big wide open mouth, because his power is to swallow people. It's like they'll have his mouth super wide open and swallow people, So he's just really disappointing, honestly. I need to get a new head sculpt for my Cottonmouth figure to make him better. Captain Britain. This is the first Captain Britain from the Abomination wave. Scale-wise, he's fine. It's just, this is when you really start seeing the bad chest. Because of the way the way Captain Britain's head is shaped, it just makes the chest look so awful. But his paint scheme kind of helps hide it a little bit. But I'll put him in C, I guess. I don't know. We'll see Captain Britain get some redemption later on. We have Ex Nihilo, like one of the characters that like nobody ever asked for. This is a character like I think he appeared in 2013, so he's a character that's way too modern for me. I got mine customized and turned him into took a extra nuke head and this Ex Nihilo body and turned it into a Molten Man. My friend Michael Kern made that custom for me. Crazy we still haven't gotten a Molten Man figure yet. But Ex Nihilo, there's nothing inherently wrong with him. Him having those bare feet make the ankles look super bad. I think that happened with Venom too. His feet being changed made the ankles look really, really kinkly. They were always kinkly, but they looked way more kinkly with the new feet. Just because this is a guy, the character no one wants. I'm gonna put him in C. But honestly, he's done fine. Like except for the kinkles, like he's done. Like he does justice for the character. He's just not a character that anyone wants. Then we have Hydra Brute, who's the exact same figure as Nuke. He has the same exact weird lower leg thing, weird upper leg thing, sorry, and the crotch piece. But, being a Brute, I'm assuming they like injected him with like some weird variant of the Super Soldier Serum or something. He's not an actual like character, so there's no like listed height for him. He could be bigger and it'd be fine. So he bothers me less than Nuke does. So I'll put him in C. He's not a necessary figure by any means, though. Then we have Cable, who uses the same legs as Nuke, but they fixed the upper thighs and the crotch piece and gave him a new arm and some new gloves. This Cable and then the shoulder pads on top of that really, really, really makes this body mold look way better. And this is way out of order. I think Cable came out in 2018. Figures in the list are 2017, so I totally put him in the wrong spot. Anyways, I'll put him in S. I think the new parts really help hide the issues that the Hyperion body has, because you can't see the chest, and I just think Cable is really well done. Then we have Odinson, or is Unworthy Thor, or whatever you would call him, Young Thor. They gave Young Thor a new chest, a whole new torso, but the arms and legs are still Hyperion. He has really bad cankles on this mold too, but that new chest does help him a lot. But just because, but then they reused the ugly Sentry head on this figure, so he should, with the new torso, he should have been pretty high. But since they used the old ugly Sentry head and the cankles look so ugly, I'm gonna put him in D. However, on the flip side of that, we have the Odinson, the Unworthy Thor with the Destroyer arm. That head sculpt looks great. His cape is pretty cool. That flesh tone torso really makes that sculpt look a lot better. This is a character, a figure I didn't want. I didn't want this figure at all. I don't have this figure either. I sold it. But I think he looks really good. So I'll put him in S tier, honestly. Then we have Tombstone, who also has a brand new torso, but still uses the Hyperion arms and legs. His cankles are hidden a bit by the straps on his legs. And that new torso helps him a lot. And his paint job and his sculpt, fantastic. I'm putting him in S tier. I think Tombstone is like a really good figure. Venom's I would put him in the same level as this other Venom, but them removing that tongue from that head makes his head look like a killer whale to me. I've always thought it. I call this killer whale Venom because yeah, he looks like a damn orca to me with that tongueless head. So I'm putting him in C. Still fine if you don't have the other Venom. Just like I said earlier, Omega Red body would be way better for Venom, and yeah, that's not much else to say. Bishop, just like Cable, having the extra parts on top of him really helps hide the Hyperion body's ugliness. Maybe not quite on the same level. I'll put him in A, though. Only going in A because the straps around his arms fall off so bad. People complain about the straps on like Cyclops' legs and stuff falling. These straps on Bishop's arms fall even more often than the straps on Cyclops' legs. So he could have been amazing. If you glue those straps down, definitely S tier. But since you have to do that work yourself, no, I'm not going to count that. So he goes A. Definitely the one of the better figures that came out that year. And then we have Luke Cage again, same exact figure as before. So he's going to D again, just has blue pants this time. No Thunderbolts logo. Less paint all around. Yeah, D. Punisher Venom. I'll put him in B. That's one I never got. One I kind of actually, at the time, I'm like, I'm not going to do alternate universe stuff, what if stuff. But now I'm kind of thinking, like, man, I wish I would have got that figure actually. But I'm not going to go back and get it. So I think he's okay. Jim Lee Sabretooth, another one that crouches over so the chest doesn't look as bad. He has that fur coat, the furry thing around his upper body, so helps hide that too. Some people hate that head sculpt. I don't think it bothers me very much. He has new arms, new elbows for the spiky thing. But really, Jim Lee Sabretooth. Some people want Sabretooth being like massive. I can understand like animated style Sabretooth. I can understand people wanting him like on the Caliban body. That's cool for animated style. But for Jim Lee comic style, Sabretooth, this specific version of Sabretooth, I think should have been on the Omega Red body, which came out 1 month after this figure came out. So I think I'm gonna put him in C because he's not as bad as everyone else in D, but he could have been better if he was on the Omega Red body. I'm hoping they still do that. Him and Venom on the Omega Red body would be great. Yeah, just I don't want him on the Caliban body like some people want because I mean again that's good for animated style, but not for the comic style Jim Lee Sabretooth. Other versions of Sabretooth is one of those characters that varies in size drastically. Like first appearance Sabretooth, they're making him this year in that Bonebreaker wave, and he uses the Grim Reaper body, which I think is fine for that version of Sabretooth. I think that's perfectly fine for that version of Sabretooth. I think it's great. Now, the Hyperion body would have been way too big for that figure, but the Jim Lee Sabretooth definitely should have been slightly larger. Put Gladiator on the same level as other Gladiator. That's personal preference. If you prefer the matte over the metallic, I prefer the matte. It's up to you. Beta Ray Bill, version of Beta Ray Bill that I don't think anyone was asking for. He got a whole new torso set up there, new hands. I think he's a good figure. He's just not the Beta Ray Bill everyone wanted, so I'll put him in A. We have Super Skrull, who's a Build-A-Figure. The first time ever the Hyperion body was used as a Build-A-Figure. Super Skrull got new arms for the power parts. Regular Hyperion arms for the normal arms. And no new torso. That new torso helps a lot. Super Skrull is an S tier. Yeah, basically if you have enough new parts, you can cover it up. I think you deserve to be an S tier, and Super Skrull, I think, is a good figure. Did he deserve to be a Build-A-Figure? Maybe not. He could have easily been a regular figure. He's the first ever time that Hyperion body was used for a Build-A-Figure, and that makes no sense. Been used since 2013. All of a sudden, 2019 he came out. He's a 2020. Came out in 2020. All of a sudden now he's a Build-A-Figure in 2020. That makes no sense, but whatever. We have Crossbones, who has a giraffe neck. I don't think he's as bad as everyone else in D, but I'll put him in C. The giraffe neck does bother me, but it doesn't bother me like as bad as some others do. So put him in C, I guess. I think it's mostly just because it's the skin tone and it makes his neck look longer, and his head being really high up. If you dremel that neck a little bit, dremel that peg hole a little bit, sit his head lower on the neck, I think it'll help a lot. But yeah, Crossbones, he's okay. Nothing mind-blowing or amazing though. Rage has that vest on, so it really helps hide his ugly chest. Has new boots that Crossbones also use those boots as well. Lower legs, the same lower legs that Captain Britain used. Crossbones also use that. But that vest helps a lot. If it wasn't for his miscolored nose, he probably could be even higher. but I'll put Rage in B tier. Just because, you know, it's his Rage. He's not a character that anyone's really crazy for. I don't think he's underrated or overrated. I think he's just okay. His head's a little bit big, actually, so that's why I put him in B. And then that miscolored nose thing. Thunderstrike. This is one you can barely consider Hyperion body, because he has arms that are more similar to like the Hercules or the Thor body, and a torso that's totally new sculpted. Boots that are whole new sculpted. Lower legs are whole new sculpted. The only Hyperion part on Thunderstrike is the upper legs. And then he still has the Hyperion chest shape, even though it's a whole new body sculpt. But the vest helps hide that. Because you can barely count him as Hyperion. and they gave him an always screaming head. And that bothers me all the hell, man. I'd be okay with like a teeth gritted head. Or like, just, you know, give me an alternate head, man. Always screaming is just too much. I don't like that. So I'll put him in B. Just because of that. I wish he didn't have an always screaming face. Ending out strong here, we got Captain Britain from the Excalibur 3-pack. He is the first time they reused that old Odin's Son body mold since 2017. They haven't touched that new good torso since 2017. All these figures like Rage and Thunderstrike and Sabretooth and all those figures that came out after this Odin's Son body, they put on the old Hyperion body that people hated for so many years. And then they finally bring the Odin's Son body back with Captain Britain. And I think it was well deserved. Captain Britain is a great figure, and he is an S tier. His head sculpt could have been better. Could have looked more like a helmet. Whatever. It's fine. I think as far as Hyperion body molds go, because of the, you know, he's still technically Hyperion because of the arms and legs being very much Hyperion. The torso, the new torso, just really saves this figure. And that is it. That is all the uses of the Hyperion body mold. And let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm sure lots of people will tell me that they should all be in D tier. But I think I gave pretty good reasons. You see, the ones in S tier are all ones that they either hide the Hyperion body really well or a whole new sculpts for the torso. And then, you know, A tier I think are underrated figures. B tier are figures that are just like okay, they're passable. C tier are figures that definitely could have been better. And then D tier are figures that absolutely should be probably be remade because they're so awful. So, all right. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys next time with another video. I'm not going to promise what it will be. If you guys have suggestions for videos, let me know. I would like to keep things more Spider-Man themed because it's the 60th anniversary. But it's also Hulk and Thor's 60th anniversaries and Ghost Rider's 50th, Luke Cage's 50th. I'll try to keep it to some. I'll try to do some more themes coming up here soon for the rest of this year. More Marvel Legends body molds coming up soon. I think next body mold we'll do will be Grim Reaper body, and then maybe we'll do a female body mold after that. But anyways, let me know in the comments what you'd like to hear, what you'd like to see me rank, what you'd like to see me talk about. Other videos coming up soon that I have ideas for, like mystery unboxings and stuff like that. Stay tuned for all that. But yeah, again, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about the video, what you guys think, what you guys would like to see. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.